everyone? My name's Chandler. Welcome to Chandler Knows Best, and today's video is going to be on the reasons why I decided not to go to college. Yes, in case you guys didn't know, I went to EMU for probably like 2 years. I was in an early college program back in high school, so I got 2 free years of college basically. I got to get a taste of what college was like at a pretty young age, so that helped me decide what I wanted to do for my future. And then I took about a semester at Grand Valley State, left, and now I'm working full-time 100% as a programmer. I'm a junior software developer, so I pretty much just decided to jump straight into my field rather than going to school to work in my field. So it feels great to be able to skip a bunch of steps. Today I'm just going to explain to you guys why I decided to do that and why I kind of think college isn't necessary for everyone. I don't want to make anyone feel like less than for not following a certain path, you know, because everyone's path is different. A lot of very successful people have gotten their degrees, and a lot of very successful people also haven't. And that's pretty much where I'm trying to get at in this video, so let's get started. So number one, first things first, as I kind of mentioned, college was not necessary for the field that I am currently in. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a programmer, so I write code to build websites, games. There are so many things you can do with code, and believe me, you do not need to sit in a classroom filled with people to learn how to do that. We have things called the internet. Don't get me wrong, if you're trying to be a doctor or a lawyer, then that's a completely different story. When you're trying to be a nurse, you need that certificate, you need the degree. That's required. But it isn't required for every field. Marketing and advertising fields, business. First of all, how are they going to teach you how to own a business? It's just not a thing. There are a lot of things that you can do without going to school. I think people are just easily discouraged, and they think that if they don't go to school, they won't get a good job. So if you have that mindset, then yeah, you won't get a good job because you have that mindset. But if you actually try to test the waters and go to some interviews, you'll learn by communicating with these people who already work in these fields that a lot of people don't really care. Keep in mind, guys, a huge percentage of people find jobs through who they know, not what they know. It's sad, but that's just kind of the way things work. That's why they always say you need to go out there and get your business cards and network with people so that you can meet someone and hopefully your path might change. You never know what's gonna happen. That has nothing to do with school most of the time. Number 2, I don't want to be in $100,000 in debt and have to spend the rest of my life paying it off. I don't want to do that. Why not skip those steps? I mean, it's a lot easier than you think. Like I said, this video is going to have some opinions in it. In my opinion, well, it's not really opinion, this is more of a preference. I prefer not to be in debt. And with that being said, I will not go to school, especially if I'm in a field that doesn't require a lot of schooling. It just requires having the ability to learn and having an open mind and being logical. That's what coding is. You can easily go on the internet and find a bunch of free sources on how to do that. Number 3, it is a huge ass myth that people will take you more seriously if you have a degree. Not true. Keep in mind, guys, I've never been taken less seriously because of my education. I have been doubted before. People have doubted me and thought that I would be less likely to be successful because I decided not to go to college, but I've never been taken less seriously by another employer. In fact, during my interviews, they rarely even asked me about what school I went to, what I did in school, what I learned, or if I even had a degree. Never really been asked those questions a lot lately. Don't get me wrong, it might come up in an interview, but it's usually one of those 5-second things like, oh, how was school? And it's like, yeah, I just graduated, whatever, boom, next question. When can you start? And if you try to think from an employer's perspective, most of them don't care if you went to Harvard or not. What they want to know is if you have the ability to do the job. Because at the end of the day, they're making money off of you. They don't care about the money you put into school. They just want to know that you can do what they need for the company to be functional, pretty much. You do the job, you're pretty much all set. Unless it's one of those jobs, like I said, that require that certificate, which is probably like the medical field and like being a lawyer, all that stuff. Yeah, you gotta have a degree for those things. But I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a doctor. I'm a programmer. My last job claimed that they required a degree, and they didn't say shit about my education. In fact, the person who was interviewing me didn't even have a degree either, and he was basically my boss. Number 4, one thing that I caught on to eventually is that a lot of the things that are taught in college will not always be used in your regular lifetime. Nursing school, for example, it's required to go through that 2-year degree nursing program or whatever it is you plan on doing. My mom was an RN, and now she's a director of nursing, which is a pretty big deal. She told me she doesn't even use close to 60% of what she learned in school. But let's switch back to reality for a second. Let's look from my perspective. I went to school for like 12 years. So yeah, I got 2 free years of college at EMU, took some general education classes and some classes towards a film major, but then I decided to go into computer science, so I took some classes towards a computer science major. 2 years. Then I took a semester of classes at Grand Valley State University, and that was also classes towards my computer science degree. So I had like pre-calc statistics and I think it was like I had to retake an intro to programming course because the credits didn't transfer. So like waste of money, right? Now that right there is a good load of education right there. Now how much of that do I use in life right now? I use simple math every now and then. You know, you gotta know your addition, your subtraction, multiplication, division. I use a lot of that. I know how to read and write. I mean, that's pretty important as well. I write code for a living, and I mostly coded in Perl, which is an old language, and JavaScript, which none of was learned at college when I went. So I would say I use around 20% of what I learned in school in real life out of those 12 years. And that's just an approximation, guys. Not literally 20%, but like I said, reading and writing, math. Coding was mostly not learned during those 12 years. That was learned at like an external program that I went to. I did take some classes. I do not use y equals mx plus b. I do not know the scientific method, even though I sat there in class for an entire semester learning that crap. And I know absolutely nothing about credit. Thanks for all the years that I wasted spending how to calculate the area of a friggin' triangle. Last but not least, number 5, it is 2018, guys. And what that means is that we have advanced technology now. We have the internet. You can find absolutely anything on the internet, and there's so many free sources that you can use to learn pretty much whatever you want nowadays. There are online classes that are absolutely affordable that I use to learn the things that I know I will be using in life. Being able to use external resources other than college, like the internet or books or just studying on your own in general, gives you more control of your life versus college. It's pretty much what they tell you to do. It's a systematic way. You have to get a certain amount of credits. You have to take these specific classes and you have to get their certificate. You have to get this certificate to be able to get this type of job. It's a very controlled, systematic approach. And that pretty much sums up my perspective on the whole college situation. I know it's a bit of an unpopular opinion, especially when you're growing up in a society that has been telling you what to do for so long. And honestly, I'm probably not even 100% right. This is just my experience. Versus plenty of people who have had good college experiences and have gotten good jobs because they went to college. I'm sure the stats are very high, but I'm trying to say that it's not necessary. I'm not saying that if you go to college, you're fucking doomed. In fact, most people are under the impression that you are doomed if you don't go to college. And my point, I'm just trying to say that you aren't if you do the right things along the way. Most people who don't go to college and that are easily discouraged, they end up living the rest of their life as if they are doomed. When I'm trying to enlighten you guys and say, hey, you aren't doomed, just make sure you do what's required, educate yourself, go out there and meet someone new, because a lot of people get jobs based off of who they know. You know, put the work in like I did. Or not, totally up to you, but that is my overall perspective. I decided not to pay $50,000 for an education that I could get for free. By the way, I created a blog called thinkwithcolor.com. Feel free to check that out, especially if you want tips and advice on how to get in the tech industry. I will be making blogs related to beauty, life advice, other things as well, so it doesn't just involve tech. That is all I have. Thanks for watching, guys. See you guys in a couple weeks.